This is Naoki Yoshida,
This is Fern Halls.
and you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Aetheryte Radio Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm Fusion X. Joining me today, we've got Algino, we've got Rook, and joining us once again, against our better judgment question mark, we have
No.
Against our better judgment.
No.
See, I was buying time. I was
Thank
just
you.
adding in words. I'm like, I gotta add a pun in here somewhere. And that's what came out. So, for those, before we get into the news, Fruity, why don't you tell us about yourself? What do you do?
I'm a fisher main, I guess is really kind of the thing that I do. I make guides on how to catch all of the fish in Final Fantasy XIV. I run and then help run the Eorzean aquariums spread out throughout the game, and generally do far more than I am probably capable of doing. But I really enjoy it. So if it's fish related, I probably have my fins in it.
And thus it begins.
Yeah.
And so already the scales are tipping towards puns.
There's going to
Yep.
be fish puns all through trout.
Warning.
All right. Well, how about we get into the news here?
Today's podcast is going to be a real slippery catch, but we're going to do our best to hold on to it, not let it steer too far off course. There's the puns. They're
There you go.
here. Oh, I thought I was
Just gotta
going to be
warm
in a
up.
pun drought. I know. I just had to warm up today.
Yeah,
I just had to
all
warm
right.
up.
All right, so how about we get into some news here? Valentine's Day currently going on until February 15th. It's in ye old Gridania.
Yeah.
All right, that is a note from Zen's outline last week that I just left in here.
Okay.
Ye Odin Gridania.
Ye
There's
Ode.
amphithete.
Ye old Gridania. Go check it out. There's new outfits this year. So
And they're
yeah.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really nice. You have the rest of the week.
Get both of them.
They're
You have a
cute.
few- well, not the whole rest of the week. You have a few days. Go get them. 4
And
days.
remember that even though these ones are not gender unlocked right now, which was a bummer, that if
Yeah.
you snag whichever one you want, you can get the other one as well. And as long as those are unlocked, eventually, once they do unlock them, you can always pick up whatever the other version was from the Calamity Salvager after the fact. But you have to make sure that you do the event, otherwise it won't like tick as you having actually acquired that reward before. So
Mhm.
Go get them. There's also Valentine's Day screenshot competition.
Compin.
competition.
Is compin a fish? It is now. Sure, competition. Submissions are due by Valentine's Day. I almost said Valentine's Day. I'm like, that's not actually a real.
Oh no.
Whew. Take a screenshot in the new tire and follow all the other rules there, and you can win some in-game stuff. They got the Cloud Strife hair, they've got the Gale Cat hat, Bluebird earring, etc. Back in
But
my day,
do
I
have
thought the
The
Bluebird earring.
Screebrella.
Yes, not the Screebrella.
Not the
No.
Screebrella. Now that we have Auto Umbrella, they should have put Screebrella in there. That's,
Mm.
It would have been good. One thing that I have noticed is that they had to tweet about this. Make sure that if you do take a screenshot, that you do follow those other requirements because there's some kind of like G-Post specific sticker they want you to put on it. And
Right.
you have to make sure that the legal Square Enix trademark text thing is still on your screenshot. So don't like crop it out.
but it's ugly and doesn't contribute.
I'm trying to point to mine. It's in the Crystarium down there, but
Oh, it says, yeah, no, all the cameras are cropped. They can't see it.
okay. It's in there though.
New Mog Station update. All of the previous Valentine's Day items are on sale. And we got a balloon mount.
Just perfect timing. Like, was Koji involved? Like, I know. It had to be him, right?
I mean, I totally
Why is
hope.
this perfect timing?
You know, the spy balloon? I'm just saying. Have you seen the meme? Like, there's
I
a
had-
bunch of 14 memes. Oh, it's great.
I had
Jeez.
not even put those two and two together. I was just thinking up. I was like, it's an
Yeah.
up mount.
There was some
Oh my
amazing
God.
Oh my God.
photoshops
Oh,
of that. It was amazing.
yes.
It's good.
The meme game for the last few weeks because of events has been amazing. Just definitely go
I had
try and find some of them. Yeah.
I saw that.
Oh, all I was gonna say is
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know if it's giftable? Because I do think this would be the
Oh.
most perfect birthday gift mount that
Yeah.
you could give to people forever from here on
I
out.
hadn't thought
I mean,
about that. Yeah, it's true.
As probably giftable as anything else, right?
Well, it
After
depends. I
the
mean,
never tried.
we now categorically in Mog Station do have items that are not
Mhm.
giftable and items that
Mm.
are giftable. That like you just have to jump through some loopholes.
It's
and
not
friends
not
list stuff.
giftable.
It is not giftable. Along with it's any one-time use items cannot
Why?
be gifted.
Ah.
So mounts, minions, emotes, chocobo bardings, and orchestrion rolls.
Square,
Oh.
you
Dang it.
had one job.
I guess you could PayPal the money to your friend and
Yeah.
be like, "Get this for yourself."
Specifically
That's
buy
what-
this.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have done. I've seen
Yeah.
is like, here,
Yeah.
here's $25. Go buy yourself something nice down at the corner store.
It's interesting.
Spend it all in one place.
We got the balloon mount. I don't think we've gotten the umbrella mounts yet, have we?
No.
China got them. We've
Yeah.
seen, but I don't think that's interesting. We got balloons before the umbrella that was promised to us back in what was it, the Frankfurt Fan Fest in like
Maybe they're
2018?
waiting for April showers, right? Is that what they're waiting for? Maybe.
Maybe.
Sure.
Let's just throw it in April. I don't know. I'm trying to give them some cover
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
You know, that's an idea. Modest Wolf in the chat saying we need a Final Fantasy XIV gift voucher.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to like gift a gift card to your friends in the
Yeah.
Mog
There
Station.
you go.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
You can gift subs. Why not? Like, you can.
Yeah.
Why not give me like Mog Station credit?
I don't know.
Remember when Krista was like a thing they
I
were
knew-
going to use everywhere?
I knew that word was going to come up.
Where's the Krista gift card?
Yeah.
I was promised that I could buy other goods with it, like CDs and stuff. Whatever happened to that, Square?
I want to launder money in bulk through 14. Why don't
Right?
you let me?
Yeah, I don't. I'd prefer to do it with Krista. I mean, I could do it with NFTs if I wanted to, but if I could
Yeah.
really just launder it through Krista, I think that would
It'd be great.
Market's more stable.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And our world has ended
yeah.
7 times.
Yeah.
Weird that.
Yeah.
8th in one timeline.
Yeah.
All right. Housing demolition is indefinitely paused. Because there's, if you haven't been keeping up with this, there's been this huge earthquake. Over 22,000 people dead. It's like this sucks. This sucks. So anybody in those areas that are affected, we're thinking of you. That's rough. If you want, there are relief efforts right now. Doctors Without Borders, Syrian American Medical Society, lots of other stuff too. If you want to help. But yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. A little cross promotion. Echo, the Wild Guild is going through Top right now, and their charity is to do with the same earthquake relief. So
Yeah.
if you want to hop over to there afterwards, I don't know. I don't know if they're streaming today. I think they are. But yeah, there are a lot of these incentives out there. So go hit yourself to one of your favorites and donate.
Mhm.
One little change
Mhm.
or one little thing on
course.
the housing demolition that is only for
Yes,
chaos
EU.
and light. So
Yes.
Crystal,
Yep.
all of NA, all of JP and OCE, y'all still have to log in every 45 days.
Yeah. So if
Mhm.
there's
Good
a house
catch.
that you want and you're like,
Yeah,
I
thank
don't
you.
have to camp outside and see if they don't enter for 45 days. No, it's okay. Like it's
Yeah, that's just for Europe.
Yeah, just for
Right.
you.
Oh boy, yeah. This is from
Here we go.
one. Okay.
Where's my
So
popcorn?
yeah, so some stuff happened a couple weeks ago with Top, right? People are like, oh, third-party tools, and Yoshida's like, hey, don't. And this week,
Yeah.
hey, this third-party tool has malware. If only somebody warned us not to use them.
G-Shade, everybody. Now, like, this is technically
God.
one that has been listed as not
Okay.
qualifying as a
Yeah.
banned term, terms of service,
Mhm.
because it is just it's like an overlay that
You
you
could do
can
it for
use in
any
a
game.
ton of games. You can, it's just like
post processing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not anything that interferes with or messes with the game. But in case you all missed this or you haven't had time to log in, G-Shade did unfortunately have a problem with somebody working on it. And while obviously a lot of things have happened since then, just a little reminder: take care of yourselves. Use third-party tools at your own risk. And
Yeah.
if you use it, make sure you update to something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think it's working anymore. I think it got
Yes.
taken off
No,
of.
it's gone.
was-
GitHub delisted
Yeah.
it, and it's gone.
Yeah. They broke
Um,
rules in such a way that it cannot be hosted there anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. One thing I did want to touch on real quick, and this is partly because I wasn't around last week too.
Oh sure.
There has been discussion in the community, right, including G-Shade, of community approved add-ons. That's not a real thing. Okay, if there's still an
Yeah.
add-on, it's still against the TOS, whether it's accepted by the community or not. Even like, yes, like G-Shade, Discord are third-party tools, right? And we're not going to spend all day talking about this because we could. But like, just because like it's widely approved by the community doesn't mean it's still legal. Like that's
you're not.
that's dangerous talk to say, and I wanted to say that.
Yeah. Just because we use them and people are okay with them does not mean the terms of service have ever changed. So
Yep.
I mean, back in my day, there was that whole 2.0 announcement when they were like, we're gonna have add-ons, and add-ons are cool, and times have changed. So
That was a thing
don't do it.
they told us they were gonna do, and it never happened. It's sitting there
Nope.
on the idea list next to buying soundtracks with Krista. It's just not. Remember when they were gonna like link Triple Triad to the Final Fantasy
yeah.
app and shit? That was gonna be so cool. Also on that list of things.
I
That
would have. I didn't know that, and now I'm really disappointed.
Oh yeah, there was so much talk about it. Yeah.
My day is ruined knowing that I almost had Triple Triad on my phone.
Yeah.
Well, they have it. I believe it's on the app, but it doesn't link up to like your 14 account and stuff like they originally.
I wish you could do that though. I would totally
It's
play.
the Final Fantasy companion app. Is what
Yeah,
it
if you
was.
if you could use something where like if you unlocked triple
Let me double check this
triad,
now. I think it had triple
like
triad. In it.
triple
Or-
triad players, like in the different zones, like you talk to them, if
Yeah.
it like checked off that person and then you could actually play triple triad matches against those NPCs and like earn whatever card or whatever from your mobile device, that would be so
Mhm.
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Final Fantasy Portal app does have triple triad in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's-
That was an era of amazing interviews and promises.
Yep.
It was right before Heaven's Word came out. They're like, yeah, we're gonna do this thing that ended up being squadrons. We're gonna like let you take
Yeah.
NPCs and do dungeons. We're gonna have like triple triad. And it's like sweet.
I mean, I think that's just the nature of certain points in game development where you're like, oh, we have these big ideals, and you're trying to figure out how you like actually develop within the parameters that you can. But even so, I mean,
remember
I'm
Free
still
Company
hoping
primals?
someday.
Free
Yeah.
Company primals was a thing. Free
Someday.
companies would be able to summon a primal, and the whole like zone would change, reflect that they summoned a
Oh,
primal.
like Odin and
Yeah.
like
stuff.
an FC could just
Mhm.
like summon Ifrit.
Yeah, you said that. My mind immediately went to like, oh, so I can summon Ifrit in the middle of like
Yeah,
ye
sure.
old Gridania.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Careful,
Why
that,
not?
that wood's gonna burn.
Yeah.
If it will burninate, yeah.
Oh boy. All right, let's
Yeah.
talk about more exciting things.
Yeah.
Fishfest. Fruity, am I led to believe that this is an entire fest about fish?
It is a fish festival, yeah,
It's amazing.
with a lot of festivities. 2 days. That's it. It's good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where you want to start. It's going to be.
What is Fishfest? Give us the elevator pitch here. What is
So-
this?
Fishfest is a 2-day festival of all things fishing in Final Fantasy XIV. There's going to be fish trains. We're going to have guided ocean fishing voyages to help people get titles and achievements in their mounts. We're going to have There's a couple of panels planned. There's going to be an aquascaping contest. There's going to be a glamour contest, um, and a whole lot more on the list that I didn't bring up. A scavenger hunt, based around fishing, based around fishing holes. Like, we have all of these things. Basically, with the Eorzean Aquarium, we spent 6 months doing just monthly events. And so Fishfest is taking all of what we learned then, a lot of players like greatest hits,
Mhm.
and just bundled it up into a 2-day event this upcoming weekend.
Nice.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
So we have a ton of fish stuff.
I love it. I love the creativity with it as well, because I think it's so easy in the game to go like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know. I did my roulette. Geez. And then you look at like literally just going fishing. What can we do with fishing? And then iterating off of it with all these different facets, components, activities, events. I mean, it just goes to show that even one simple system, seemingly simple system in the game, can have so much that you can engage with and do in it. And I think this fish festival, this little mini fishing convention in game, is going to be a blast to show off some of the arranged capabilities of that.
There is there's fishing. There's
Yeah.
you can go and you can fish.
Yeah.
But there's using that as the core, there's a lot that you can do around it.
Mhm.
That's kind of where a lot of the events are coming up. Like fish trains is fishing by yourself is kind of boring, but fishing with your friends is a whole lot better.
Mhm.
And so fish trains are kind of like hunt trains, where you go as a group, and instead of going around and killing a bunch of S ranks, you go around to different fish windows. And so we have one of those on each day is going to be running perpetually for 6 hours. So it's like 6 hours of just nonstop fishing. And so so we'll have people do that. We'll be providing the bait too. Like, if people just see it in like Party Finder, or like a crowd of fishers fly overhead, and they're like,
Blotting
"What the
out the
heck is
sun.
that?"
Somebody
yeah,
just
blocking-
sees like this just horde of mounts. They're like, oh, there must be a hunt up, and then they follow them. They all
They
stop
follow
and
him and
like
just
pull out their
there's a little tiny hole in the middle of like Corthus or something like that. It
Okay.
is yeah, so like we'll have all the bait. We're gonna basically, one of the big things that was behind like the design of this is fishing is really hard to get into.
Mm.
It is it is really intimidating when you hear people like me even talk about it. And I try and make it as approachable sounding as possible. And even when people go and they see that and they're like, wait, okay, so I catch this fish, then slap it, and then I cast out again, but I don't catch fish? It's like, that's better? Like, what? How does that work?
Yeah.
We're making it really easy to show that like fishing is not that bad. And while it's still not for everybody, it can be fun. You can enjoy it. And so that's where like the fish train will be coming in, and the ocean fishing voyages, where volunteers and staff will form parties, and they'll be like, all right, if you want the crab title, come here and I will tell you exactly what to do and walk you through how to do it, and be really newcomer friendly to that. So we have a ton of that going on. All of our aquariums will be open. I mean, they're always open, but they'll be open and cleaned up and stuff. And we have just a whole bunch of festivities, is what we're saying.
So you mentioned with these trains that they'll go for like 6 hours.
Mhm.
Is there like a recommended level for Fisher? Is there anything that you think like, hey, you should, if you want to be able to do everything, you should probably have maxed or this gear or stuff like that? Or is it something where if people just like show up, everybody will be able to kind of guide them or direct them, that sort of thing?
So to catch any big fish in the game, you have to be at least level 50 and over 408 gathering, I believe.
Mm.
No, sorry. That's to catch all of the level 50 ones. It's like 300 something to catch some of the ARR ones. The ones added in 2.0. But
Yeah.
basically, if your level 50 or 51 is actually easier. It's easier to get to 51 and then just buy level 51 gear.
Hmm.
If you have at least 51 plus gear, you can catch a bunch of the fish that'll be on the train. A lot of these fish are going to be going all over. We tried to keep it in just the 2.0 and the 3.0 areas for people who
Hmm.
wanted to, who are free to play
Yeah.
and just on the free trial, the critically acclaimed free trial.
Mhm.
We tried to keep it there, but just with the scheduling, it didn't really work out. So some of like the Stormblood and the Shadowbringers and the Endwalker fish are going to be there too. And so basically,
Right.
you want to be like, if the max level in Heaven's Ward was 60, you want to be 60 for that, or
Yeah.
it's 70, 80, 90, obviously.
Yeah.
But 50 will be the minimum. If you come to a fish and you're like, I can't catch this fish, there's other stuff to do. There might be an ocean fishing voyage up. There's we have an act like this, kind of like a puzzle contest type thing that's going on, like this big activity. We've renovated a house to turn it into like this challenge room called the Trial of the Big One. It's all Namazu
Oh, man.
themed.
Oh my god, I love this.
That's so cool.
I love this.
It's Namazu themed.
I have always dreamed, Square Enix, please.
Mm.
I have dreamed that there would be some kind of legendary fish that if you had like super mega high level, right? You could take a fisher, go to a fishing hole and fish up the big one, and then it would unlock some kind of secret trial in this game where you like then fight the big one or something. It'd
Yeah.
be so good. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so good.
that stuff, that is kind of the inspiration for this. But Song Breeze is the name of the person who came up with it, and they've been putting it together. It's like a 3-part trial of these, like, there's 3 different puzzles. You have to get all the pieces, and you have to solve mazes and answer riddles and determine things and figure this stuff out, and really kind of pulls on your fish lore and your fish understanding and just general game knowledge. And if you get all 3, you get a chance to go and basically you get to go and challenge the big one.
Nice.
And who is going to be in this remote location that you don't know until you get all 3 pieces.
This is great.
And
So good.
so that has probably been the most intricate thing of this entire, like, I say that as like, oh yeah, it's a 2-day event, that's got to be super intricate. No, this entire, like, getting this whole event planned was this activity planned
Mhm.
was very much like, all right, let's walk through everything and make sure we got this right like 20 times.
You got a murder board, and it's all fish.
Yeah. So so that's going to be in a house that's in the same ward as the aquarium on Crystal. So it's like we kind of kept things, we're all over Crystal. That was one thing that we learned from LunarCon
Mm.
was we don't want to break the data centers.
Yeah.
And while I don't expect that to happen, we wanted to be careful.
Mhm.
So we have really spread out a lot of our activities and venues across the data center, but majority of it will still be on Marlboro.
Well, there is some precedent for fishing up something that breaks the server, if I remember correctly.
It
I
is
remember that being a thing.
It is the curse of Bronze Lake.
Yeah.
That was whenever they add or change fishing to Bronze Lake, something terrible to that server happens.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 years ago, just quick side note on the context of that. 4 or 5 years ago, they made it so that if you caught a certain fish in Bronze Lake, it would crash the entire server.
Yeah.
It would just bring it down.
Yep.
And they had to like they had to fix it. And the reason for this is the fish King of the Spring is caught there, but it's also caught in Upper Bronze Lake, which is in a completely different zone.
Mhm.
And so by catching it in one zone, it would crash it. But if you caught it in the other one, it was fine.
Wow.
So they were just like, you
weird.
can't fish in Bronze Lake until we fix it.
There's even meta fish lore. There's not just fish lore. There's meta fish lore.
Yeah, and then with 6.3, they added spearfishing in Bronze Lake. I
Yeah.
forget exactly what happened, but something like the servers just did
Yeah, it
not
broke. Yeah.
cooperate.
That's
Mudras went
so
down.
funny.
Like it was a thing. So, so that's one of those So trials is a big one. Is something that we're going to be planning, and we'll be announcing all of this stuff this week. Kind of
Awesome.
leading up to it. We're kind of cutting it close, but all this week we'll have the schedule, we'll have the panels, we'll have all of the activities will be announced. There is still a couple things we haven't announced yet.
Ooh.
At least formally. I think it's some of them's on the website, but we haven't talked about it. But everything
Gotcha.
will be talked about leading up to it. And then Saturday is when the first day is.
Can you talk about those things now, or is
Yeah.
yeah? And also for everybody who might be tuning in, of course, we will revisit this at the end, but this is Saturday, the 18th of February, 2023. So coming up next weekend for us, but depending on when you listen to it, you might find out about this like the day before, so or after, and in which case, keep an eye out for any future Fish Fests. But yeah. Do you have anything more about those, about maybe some of the extra things you haven't been able to talk about yet?
So, I say that now I have to bring up my list. Crap.
That's how many things
so
there are. He has
there's a lot
list.
of things.
There's a lot.
There's a bit of a list. So we haven't talked about the we'll be doing an art party, which has kind of been the big
Yay.
rave on Crystal at least.
Yeah.
That'll be like one of the after parties for the first day. And we did one of those back in November, and I don't think I've ever seen so many people at the aquarium before. I mean, it was like everyone loves drawing fish.
Wait. So with the art party, do they draw fish from the game, or like if you caught something that day, do you like show it and then they draw your character like holding up the fish? Like
So for this one, for that they made it pretty open-ended. I actually didn't do much with the designing for that. I just was like, here's the keys, here's some money, go what you need to do, go for it. It's all yours. And what they ended up doing was they made little cards basically for people who are like, if you're an artist, here's some ideas for things that you can draw if you're blocked. If you're not an artist, here's a bunch of things that you could do. Like, and it was like a mini scavenger hunt of like, go find the Namazu in this room, or go find Deputy Cool Ranch, I think his name is, in one of the rooms. Yeah, the staff have named some of the parts of the fish in the aquarium. It's a thing. So even though like art parties, generally people look at it and they're kind of like, I can't do art, just standing around. They made it at least more interactive, so you don't need to. It's not always just like I'm going to stand around and hope someone draws me. Like, no, you can go around and you can go look for fish. You can go and actually fish from the aquarium. We have a deck for it. So Deputy Berry Blast, thank you. So we'll have an art party, and that'll be announced earlier next week. We'll have the Esprit dance show, which that will be. I'm not going to announce the dates yet because I'm leaving that up to Esprit to announce. I've kind of told them it's like you can announce it, but there will be a public showing that people can sign up for that will be fish themed, and I have seen parts of it, and it is amazing. I have seen the music list; it's great.
I can only imagine. I can't wait to see that.
And I will say there will be. Trying to debate how to say that there will be special guests. Last I heard, but I'm not going to say who. I will again leave that up to Esprit because I like them. We'll let them take all the credit for that one. And then we have we worked with a streamer by the name of Chili Farmer.
Chili.
Yeah. So Chili, we haven't announced this yet, but Chili is going to be doing a pop-up of one of their venues that they made over on Aether. And we got them a space, and they're going to be doing a pop-up on Crystal just for Fishfest, and it'll be fish themed, and it'll be his Karen's Diner.
Oh
so it's
gosh!
Like, yeah, and I'm just like, when they originally pitched it to me, I was like, it's not super fish themed, and I was like, but it's a great opportunity for fish puns.
Yep.
So sometimes that's all you need.
We'll get that. Yeah, so we'll that'll be open. We haven't announced it yet, but we'll have that and the address out this week as well.
That's awesome.
And then we haven't talked much else about like the actual fish train, which will be taking you all over. But there's not much to say about that. You'll just, if you want to go fishing, we'll have a schedule. We worked with um, some people to put together a schedule that works, and then we use the Carbuncle plushie tracker. If you aren't aware of Carbuncle plushie, Carbuncle, if you have ever done any big fishing and you have seen like a tracker for here's when this fish is going to be up, that would probably be Carby's tracker. And so they have a built-in train system now where you can go in and you can set a date and a time range, and it'll tell you all of the fish that are going to be up during that time.
Huh.
And then you can just click on the one that you want, and it'll tell you, it's like, all right, this one's going to be up for this time, and it'll block it out for you as well. And so you can plan when that is going to be, and then put it in order, and it creates a shareable link you can then share with everybody.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really
like
cool.
a fish playlist. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
basically.
Can you imagine? I mean, here's the thing. In my head, I'm like, now Square Enix, if you want people to play all the different parts of your games, if you had something like this in like FCs where you could schedule a calendar or events like this, and there was something in there where you could go fishing, fish train, use exactly this, and then it would just like auto-populate into a calendar that your FC could see, or they could access on their phone app, or that they could like set a reminder for, or like whatever. And you could do the same with hunt trains. You could schedule in something like we're going to do treasure maps, X amount of time, this zone. If that was a thing in this game, oh my gosh, I think we would see so many groups using this, like, because that's amazing. I love that we have other resources to be able to do all of this, and be able to keep track of it, but talk about making it easy.
Yeah, it was. If I had that, I feel like that would just be like Thanos getting the final Infinity Stone for me. Like, there's just a couple of those things where if it'd be like, no, you can't have that, because then I would just break. I would just break.
You'd be on every data center, on every server with these schedules. I know.
I mean, that's implying that I'm not already.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
It's
just that right now you're having to keep a lot of other spreadsheets and juggle a ton of other resources and links.
The earliest part of Fishfest, when I was originally thinking through it, the original scope for it was multi-regional. We were going to do all of this on at least 2 different data centers. NA and EU was original, and then we were like, oh, we could probably totally do OCE as well. And if we did OCE, we might as well see if we can get into Japan. And that was like one of the few times that the staff have actually had to like actively talk me out of an idea.
Start with this, see how it goes, see, learn from it, like you've done with everything else with the aquariums and this ever expanding network, But I mean, it's amazing to see and hear about what you're even planning just for this. I mean, this first kind of major gathering of all these events that you've been working on and planning and executing. It's amazing. I wanted to ask you too about the panels. What what are they going to talk about? What do they talk about in regards to fishing?
So we only have 2 fishing panels this year, this time around. Just due to scheduling and stuff, it ended up boiling down to 2. One of them is entitled Ocean Fishing Savage, and it is going to be hosted by Teodo Taeyun of Primal, but he, much like me, has a character on every data center. Teodo is one of the very few people, if not the only person in the game, who has got every single big fish in the game 5 times on 5 different characters, or 4 times, one of the 2. Like, he has big fish at least 4 times, maybe 5. I don't remember. He is, though, a professional ocean fisher. He currently holds what I believe is the only recorded written record for highest points, which is somewhere in the 52,000s on a single voyage.
Yeah.
To put that into context, 20,000 is the highest achievement that you can get right now.
That's crazy.
Day one, when the achievements came out for Teodo's correcting me. It is in fact 5. When the achievements came out and it was like, oh, you need 3 million to get the world-class troller title, the 3 million points in ocean fishing. I'm pretty certain he had it day one, like right then. I think he ocean fishes. He has. If you see any data about ocean fishing, it's him. Like he is the source of truth. Anyways, so he's really good at this. He's really good at ocean fishing. And so he's going to be hosting Ocean Fishing Savage, which is a panel that's going to be talking about ocean fishing, how to get better at it. And after LunarCon last year, I basically went to him and said, all right, we're going to do Fishfest. How much time do you need? And I was willing to just break up as if he needed 3 hours for a panel. All right, you get it.
That's it.
And that was the pitch for that. The other one is I believe the current title. We're still finalizing the title because the one of them is a little long. But I believe it was Eorzea Unshelled. And it is all about mollusks in Eorzea.
That's awesome.
One of the guys at the aquarium, they like breed. I don't know if they breed, but they have pet snails. Ton of pet snails, and they love doing anything related to snails or mollusks in general. They're currently hosting the Expedition Mollusk exhibit that we have going at our aquarium right now. And so Innis is their name. They'll be hosting a panel in-game and on stream talking all about snails and mollusks and stuff like that. So if you want snail facts, that's where you want to go. And that'll be on Sunday. Both of those will be at 2 p.m. Ocean Fishing Savage will be at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And Eorzea Unshelled will be Sunday. Name subject to change on that one.
I just know that there's so much to learn about mollusks that how long is that one supposed to be?
I think that one's an hour. Hour 15.
I'm just like, I want to go to that because I have no interest, but I will by the time that's over. Like
it's
yeah.
Like I dove into fish lore and I looked at it and I've started drawing parallels between like actual fish. If someone posts a picture of a fish, I'll be like, oh yeah, so this is the real life equivalent of like EBE 8168 in this like jellyfish type thing. This is a real life version of this Final Fantasy one. They took it one step further and went specifically into mollusks. And so they specialized in the like molluscan studies, I guess, in 14. And
somebody make that website. I know there's alligan studies. Someone make molluscan studies, please.
So that's going to be all about snails and mollusks, and it's going to be great. That'll be live in game, hosted at the Nature Museum, which is also on Marlborough. And again, we'll have this all up on the website, which is eorzean.fish/fest.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely go check that out to hear about everything we've talked about and more announcements coming later this week, that's awesome.
Yes. I do have one announcement that I can make. The leader of Esprit was like, oh, the announcement's going out in 14 minutes. Here, you can just tell him now. Say that the Esprit dance show on February 18th will be hosted live on twitch.tv/JoeCat. I hope you don't mind me chilling that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
So JoeCat will be there, and he will be and Joe will be hosting the Saturday show, and then on Sunday there will be a public showing.
That's awesome.
That was kind of the surprise that I've been holding back from literally everybody on the team. I think everybody who's a Fishfest volunteer is now realizing that Joe Cat's involved.
Yeah.
That's such a blast. That's going to be honestly so much fun. I mean, all of the events sound fantastic. I know we will obviously, I think, do links and everything to Fishfest as well
Yeah.
so that everybody can take a look at the website and take a look at the actual run of the schedule and all of that because even though it's only going to be NA this time around, I mean, it sounds like even if people make alts and even if people, come over, that they'll still be able to participate with a lot of things. You've made it really accessible and it's going to be so much fun. Such a huge slew of different activities with a lot to offer for those 2 days that it's running. So I can't wait. I'm excited because you actually inspired me to level my fisher for the first time. So I'm ready and I can fish and I'm like, I'm here. Mine is leveled. I've been waiting ever since that rainbow fish. So I think I'm going to go at it. I'll be there fishing up a storm alongside everybody. But I wanted to ask too, I know we were curious about, you mentioned a little bit about the fact that you had already done a lot of these events with the aquarium and that it's something you've been running with the community. But what inspired Fishfest specifically? Was it mostly just those and thinking, oh, it'd be fun to do that? I know you mentioned LunarCon as well. Was it something where seeing these kind of conventions maybe have influenced or kind of a mix of a bunch of different things?
So it kind of started with right after the aquarium launched, that initial aquarium opening, which I mean we talked about it the last time I was on, was big, very big.
Yeah.
I still like we're almost a year to that and I'm still comprehending how big it was. But soon after that I was kind of like, all right, people really want this and they enjoy it and I enjoy fishing and I would love to be able to do this big event which just take over Crystal and just fish. Just like everyone that weekend is going to know that fishing exists in this game.
Yeah.
And so that was like early May I started thinking about it. And then LunarCon came around and we had 4 panels at LunarCon devoted to fishing. And the running joke during LunarCon was its nickname was FishCon because of all of the fish panels. And I'd like to go on record to say that we actually toned back those panels because we had 8 that we were going to submit. We ended up submitting only 4 of them, and all of them were accepted. But we had 8 uniquely different panels about fishing that we were going to submit. Maybe this year. But anyways, that then kind of spurred my motivation to be like, all right, it's time to really start thinking about this. And because everyone was asking me, it's like, so Fruity, FishCon when? And like, when do we do? You got to do it now. You have to. I'm like, well, joke's on you. I've been thinking about this for a few months already. And so I think soon after, probably at the end of May, I made a tweet saying, hey, I see you. I hear you. FishCon will be a thing. And then I went and buried myself in a hole for a few more months. And then in November, we officially announced it, the actual dates. And so the inspiration really was, it was a bit of a, seeing the turnout of just seeing the people who enjoyed fishing or enjoyed fish related things, at least.
Yeah.
And then the motivation from the people who attended LunarCon for FishCon.
Yeah.
Was enough to be like, all right, this is something that we can in fact achieve. This is something I wasn't going to do something with Fishfest or FishCon, which is Fishfest, until I knew that we could do it and we could pull it off. And took a little while, but we got there. I may have lost a few years, but
so what you're saying is there was an idea.
There was.
Yeah. It's the fish. It's the fish initiative instead of the Avenger initiative. I love it.
Oh my gosh!
For the record, I got that reference.
I knew you did.
The one.
I
didn't know where the hell you were going with it, but I understood that reference.
I'm making Fruity here Nick Fury of fish, right?
Oh, I don't know if I don't know if I can live up to
Nick
not
Fruity?
only Nick Fury.
Are there any fish that wear eye patches in the lore? Is there an eye patch fish or a one-eyed fish?
Yes.
Fruit Fury
Just
is
like the
also
answer
good.
was
I mean, there's the Sound of Fury, which is a big fish in Handmirror Lake in Ilmeg.
Nick Sound of Fury.
The Nick Sound of Fury. And then there was there is no one-eyed fish that's like biologically one-eyed. They either don't have an eye, they have two eyes, or they have way too many eyes. um, but there is one where if you Cinder Surprise has like one eye on it that you can see, and you're like, okay, inside of it there's only one eye.
Mm.
But no, there's no like eye patch fish. Not
Well,
that I can
maybe we
think of.
need
Square
some.
Enix, we need
Come on.
an eye patch fish.
We have fish that were old books that were then incarnated by humans. We have dragon eggs. We have eggs.
Just
Just an egg. A few of those. We have depressed kelp, but we don't have an eye patch fish.
You'd think there would be one at this point. It'd be a delightful
Seriously.
Mimi fish. It'd be very good.
And
But
it would have one of those
Come on,
paragraph
Square Enix.
long item descriptions. How did
Yeah,
it get the
yeah,
eye
yeah.
patch?
I'm
Who
really
made
hoping
the
for
eye
that
patch?
again.
Who put
I'm
the
really
eye patch on the
hoping-
fish?
I'm really hoping for the FanFest this year.
Oh,
That's where that one
FanFest,
came
yeah.
from.
Yes.
It was the Stormblood FanFest.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that they do another one of those for FanFest this year.
was this like a special fish that you could fish up during FanFest, or
No,
was it?
so it was part of one of Koji's panels.
Oh,
One of the
okay.
things that Loke does is they come up with item descriptions, and so he talked a little bit about how they work on that, and so he says we have a fish that we need to come up with item text for, and so he basically just live took shouts from the audience. It was a thing that I think it ate Lalafels. It was like a Leopleurodon or something. It was ridiculous.
Named the vegetarian.
The vegetarian, yes, the vegetarian that eats Lalafels. No, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
It is. I think it is also the longest description for a fish.
That doesn't
in the
surprise me if that's.
I mean, it is like a paragraph, and it is a trip.
Look, we all have to have our dreams in this game, or as content creators for this game. And I have to say, Rudy, I would give anything to have you have some kind of canonical, collaborative fish lore entry that you would had a hand in. So I'm hoping that Koji does that again, and that you can shout out and be like, "I've
It eats
got
fruit
so many things."
snacks.
Yeah.
I for a while before the aquarium started, I was looking for like fruit snack consumables that I can hand out. Like people like name themselves food, and then they'll get like the cheap version of that food and just hand it out. And there's no fruit snacks. The closest I could get was like some like jellied apricot from Shadowbringers or something like that.
Yeah. Well, there's
Not
the next
quite the
question. It was before it was why don't we have peaches? Now where are the fruit snacks? Essie, where's the fruit snacks?
Give me
There
some
it is.
confectionaries here, Jesse.
Yeah.
That sounds like a new world thing. Fruit snacks.
Yeah, maybe over in the new world once we get over
Yeah.
there. There'll be
Dehydrated.
fruit snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
Well,
but yeah, I'm hoping I hope to be at Fishfest this year. Oh God.
Yeah.
We hope you're there too.
I hope
I'm
you're at
at- I really hope
Fishfest
I'm at
this year.
I hope I'm at FanFest this year.
Mhm.
So that if that does happen, I can be in the audience and just be like, "Ooh, pick me, pick me."
Yeah, that would be
You're
wonderful.
So good. Now, obviously, silly jokes and detours aside, although, yes, oh my gosh, I hope I see everybody at FanFest, and I hope I see everybody at Fishfest, particularly you, Fisher Fruity. I always say Fisher Fruity, which is so funny to me because I think I first saw your name and affiliated it with your @ on Twitter, and now no matter what, you will always be Fisher Fruity.
It's a good alternative name because Fruity Snacks is often taken.
I know.
So it's just like, I'll
Mm.
take it. But no, if FanFest comes up, I already have, like, me and my friend have already planned out, like, a vlog. I've worked with the aquarium. We're going to do an aquarium meetup at the Mandalay Bay Aquarium. Like, as soon as I get tickets,
hell yeah.
as soon as I get tickets to FanFest and they are, like, confirmed, this is a floodgate
It is
of things are
on.
going to be announced by me.
Oh, no.
I know. We've all got our fingers crossed and our fins crossed. I mean, we're all hoping we can get in. But all of this aside, I mean, you talked about the fishing community and the community
Mhm.
behind the aquarium as well. But obviously, it takes a lot of people to come together to do something like Fishfest too. So I was curious about who all has helped you put this together. You mentioned a few already, but like who's come together? How do you collaborate with these kinds of things? And who's a part of making Fishfest happen this year?
So the collaborators and like volunteers, a lot of them came from the aquarium. So not just the North American aquarium,
Mm.
but the European and Oceania one now
Mm.
as well. A lot of them have came just up and were like, "Hey, I want to do this for Fish Fest," and I'm like, "All right, congratulations, you are now leading it. You are now in charge." Um, and so a lot of it is the aquarium folks, but beyond that, we did put out like just a couple of calls saying, "Hey, we're doing this, and if you want to come volunteer, come help." And a ton of people were just like, "I like fishing, I'll do this."
Mhm.
And so we've had a lot of people come in from there, and just from like Twitter, just the general game populace, and come in
Mhm.
and be like, "I want to help out with this." And that's kind of where it's been. So it hasn't been all me, thankfully.
Yeah.
A lot of it has been a lot. I have learned a lot about delegating, which is a
Well,
skill
that's
that
good.
a year ago I was not very good at.
It's a wonderful thing once you've mastered it.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, it's basically just been a lot of aquarium people and just a ton of volunteers from all
Mhm.
over who are either aquarium or aquarium adjacent, or who have heard the call of the sea and decided to show up
Mm.
and help out.
Awesome. And I mean, you have, I mean, my gosh, you have aquariums in just about every region, like
Yeah.
you were talking about at this point. I think
Everywhere.
last time we had you on, you were talking about opening up,
The
was it
European one.
Yeah,
European? No, it
European.
was European.
European.
And now it's out. It's
Yeah.
a thing,
Yeah,
right?
so the European aquarium launched in August,
Mhm.
I think. Yeah. That was in August. And then we soft launched the Oceania aquarium yesterday. I was thinking it was like last week, and I was like, no.
What is time even?
Like
You know,
that few hundred hours ago, it feels like. No, that was like
Yeah.
yesterday.
Oh, man.
And that was timed specifically for Fish Fest, and then
Mhm.
slightly moved up a week to get into to kind of submit for Mr. Foxconn's neighborhood thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so we have 3 aquariums on 3 regions now, and I will say that we have the FC, and we have secured regional funding
Mhm.
if we so choose to move to put one in Japan.
Nice.
Ooh.
So that one is more of a waiting for a house to open up on Tonberry, which might as
Mm.
well be waiting for a house to open up on
Would you say
Balmont.
it's your white whale?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. And waiting for that one. And there's a lot of stuff going on with just the different aquariums. But like the European aquarium, the lead for that wants to start doing more events with the European aquarium. And on the European regions, so that specifically this time next year, if we decide to do Fish Fest for a second year,
Mhm.
we can then add in more European stuff,
Yeah.
and more of the game can participate.
Mm.
That's awesome.
In my perfect world domination view, Fish Fest would be international across all servers.
Ooh, and now you mentioned having the opportunity, maybe thinking about doing
Mhm.
it next year too. So, are you hoping that this becomes some kind of annual event that could be celebrated across the regions or with whoever was around and able to coordinate it? Or do you think you're just going to see how it goes this year?
Um, I'm waiting to see how it goes this year,
Yeah.
but I'm probably gonna fall into the trap of it is we've learned a lot. I know exactly like how to start it, when to start planning, when to start putting stuff together. Uh, and so if it happens next year, there's a good chance it could happen next year, but I'm not going
Mhm.
to guarantee that just yet
Right.
because I
That's
need
fair.
to get through this, make sure it's not a train wreck. um, make sure we got everything figured out.
Mm.
And if it's popular, and if it is, then yeah, maybe you can expect it next year. But I will say for a fact, unless something huge happens, don't expect like what LunarCon or some of the other people did this year with their own conventions of like, we'll see you in 2024 on this date. I'll temper everyone's expectations. Do not expect that within the next few weeks at least.
Gotta triage it afterwards and make
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I try to be very thorough and methodical with all these
Mhm.
events just because it's a volunteer thing. I don't want to force people to do anything that they
Right.
don't want to do. And because of that, you kind of need to plan and design around who
Mhm.
you can get available.
Hmm.
And that was partially why we didn't do International Fish Fest this year, was
Yeah.
because like we weren't confident that we'd be able to get enough support on other regions. And to say that we are working on getting that again. So
Mhm.
maybe next year we can. But yeah. I would love to
Yeah.
do it yearly though. Like I would love to do it yearly
Yeah.
and do something fun and different every year.
It's great to see these events spin up and grow, kind of like the race for World First, kind of like LunarCon, which is newer as well. If you've been here since 2.0, it's awesome to see the community kind of self-organize, volunteer about all the things that they love about this game. It's just, I love to see what craziness we could bring out. Who knew that we would have a panel about mollusks?
That's the thing that I love about just MMOs in general,
Yeah,
not just
right.
14, but a lot of back when, I guess maybe going back to your original question about what inspired this.
Mhm.
Kind of what inspired all of these events for me was back in high school. I was
Mm.
playing Guild Wars 1,
Yeah.
the OG one,
Uh-huh.
and there was this guy, and I think he still does events in Guild Wars 2, Daniel Frozenwind.
Mm.
And he did events in Guild Wars 1, and some of those events that he hosted were like, I don't think I was doing them right because I was in high school and I was dumb and I don't remember any of them. But I always remember them just always being really fun. And they were a defining moment of my high school years of it being able to be like, oh, it's Daniel Frozenwind event going on right now. You got to be
Uh-huh.
there. And so I kind of was like realizing that, oh, wait, I can do that now. I can do that. I can be the Daniel Frozenwind to some other kid
Yeah.
in high school who's having a rough time or something like
Yeah.
that, like that type of thing. And that's kind of been a big motivator for me. So even if Fish Fest flops and it doesn't end up being that great,
I think
somebody somewhere enjoys it, I'm good. I'm good. That's it.
it's gonna. I think it's gonna swim. I think
I think so too.
Oh, yeah,
I think
so
so
my
too.
my confidence is not, it's not right now. If I can be a little bit haughty, I guess is the word.
Mhm.
My confidence isn't that is at the point where I'm like, all right, this isn't going to suck. It's now just a matter of, oh god, how big is it going to get, type of thing, and have we planned for all those things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens if we get LunarCon turnout again and we just break Marlboro? What do we do? And I'm hoping. I mean, obviously, I hope we see that level of popularity.
Right.
But really, in the end, I just hope that people show up, they have fun, they don't feel like it was a waste of time.
Mhm.
They enjoyed
Yeah.
themselves. That's it.
Yeah, makes total sense. I mean, I like Fusion said, I don't think it's gonna flop at all, or if it will, it'll just be in a funny fish pun way, and everybody will laugh, and it'll be a great time. But not in a true, genuine flop. I mean, you have done a lot of these events, and you've been connected into the community, and so many people feel that passionate energy that you and all of the aquarium folks have, and I think that's something where if there's one thing Final Fantasy players tend to love, not everybody, some people just want to do their own thing, but the vast majority of us really love this game and we love being nerdy about it together. And so in any opportunity, be it FanFest, be it in-game conventions, be it RP events, be it live streamed on Twitch, YouTube videos, we all just like connecting with those nerdy things that we love. So I have no doubt a lot of people are going to be having fun with that and even getting into fishing because of it, which is awesome to get to share. I love that. I love what you said about, being that outlet for almost like the high school you, because that's something that I think about a lot, even with my own content and MMOs, and the fact that we can lift each other up and that we can provide a space or a place that, just like we maybe found refuge in
Yep.
games and fun in games, other people can too, is an awesome thing.
You ready,
So
Rook?
It's
Those who walk before.
don't do it.
I gotta do it every time.
Those who walk
oh no, my internet's dying out. I'm sorry. Hold on.
So
No,
I guess. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, yeah, no, I mean that's you guys really hit the nail on the head for like why I really enjoy doing these events and why I'm so aggressive with them sometimes. I mean, the aquarium did 6 events in 6 months, which is ridiculous. I don't think any other organization has I should say not many other organizations in game have done that. And it really is, MMOs are a big part of my life. Like I think I once did a quick calculation of like in 10 years of gaming, 57% of my time was spent in either RuneScape, Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2, or Final Fantasy 14. Like
It's a
4
dangerous
games.
calculation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 games determine hey, it's their fault for adding /playtime.
Yeah.
And they're a huge part of basically my gaming life, and I know how important they can be. And so if I can be just a little bit in somebody's like life of gaming, and they can go back and be like, oh, you remember the Fishfest thing? Like, oh, you remember the aquarium? I'll be like, all right, cool. I did it. I'm good.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good. And I mean, the aquarium itself has just been outside of even Fish Fest, such an incredible place for people to get to go. I'm always seeing screenshots of people visiting and being excited about it. So I have to ask, because I'm pretty sure we talked about it last time, but the exhibits update and there are special exhibits and you have this expansion. So what are your favorite current exhibits in the aquariums? And or I'll add on here, what highlights should people look out for if
Right.
they're going to be visiting the aquariums during Fish Fest?
Oh, I skipped this bullet point on the schedule and I didn't plan ahead. Oh, I think since we last talked, at least half of the exhibits all have gotten a facelift. Or just had or something like that. I forget exactly what it was, but
Yeah.
like we constantly keep updating things, and everyone really just kind of goes like, I want to do this for the room. Like, do you think you can do that for the room? I'm like, they're like, yeah, I think I can, and then they do it beyond what they were even expecting.
Yeah.
There's a few that I like just across all of our venues. We have a new Ruby Sea room at the aquarium on Crystal that is based around the temple that the Four Lords are in, Ryzen Temple.
Yep.
That's based around based around Ryzen Temple. That came out really good. There's our new one. Our new one is Expedition Mollusk. That's our new special exhibit, and that was one that Innis was like, I really want to do a mollusk exhibit. And I'm like, I'll let you do a mollusk exhibit. That's great. And we started going back and forth, and it was originally going to be like, well, we can't really display mollusks because there's no mollusks that you can put into an aquarium. And that is the word mollusk way too many times in one sentence. But and we were going back and forth, and they were like, well, I really want to tell a story with it. I'm like, well, what happens if we use the message book as your journal? And so now this is a dynamic exhibit where starting on January 1st, every day, a new message in the book has been added from the character that Innis is created for this that tells the story of him leaving Idleshire to found the School of Conchology in it's a real thing too, apparently.
Yeah, that's
I learned
awesome.
this.
I love that.
That's
That's a fun word.
And to like found like to get like to found the School of Conchology in Charlian and stuff like that, and how the aquarium funded their exhibit type of thing. And it was really the way that they put it, like they put it out to me, was this big like long 50-day story. That's how many, or 60-day, I forget, however many days you can fit into a message
A
book.
book, yeah.
I think it's 50 or 60. And so we're using that. And the exhibit, when it opened on January 1st, was basically an empty room with a desk, a couple of empty picture frames, and a bookshelf.
Oh,
And it was empty. And then a week later, there was like a mountainous fire exhibit built into the corner. And then a few weeks later, there was an air one. And like a few more after that, there was more water. And it's been dynamically growing over time.
that's really cool.
And so I was like, this is really neat. And this was, I think we started it in Innis, you're gonna have to help me out because I can't remember, but it was like one of the first special exhibits that we had originally thought of after launch. So I mean, this was like June was when we were thinking.
Oh, wow,
it.
yeah.
And it came out January 1st, so like it's been in development for a long time, to get it right. And so I'm really happy with how that one's come out. Over on the EU side of things, there is a freshwater aquarium room, and it is based around the sunken temple of Corn.
Yeah.
Corn.
Always say corn.
Cream
Yeah.
corn.
I have bad memories of Sunken Temple of Corn because I always get it in my leveling roulette.
Oh, yeah.
Every time, without fail.
Oh, yeah.
And the aesthetic for that one, it is really simple. It is not a lot of pieces, not a ton of furnishings, but the aesthetic for that one came out spot on for a Karn crypt. And then for Oceania, the G-Pose studio came out, and don't remember the room name, but there's one that's based around the boardwalk at Costa del Sol. And it's got like the thatched roof and everything.
Oh, wow.
And you walk in and you're like, you can do this?
Yeah,
this is a
right?
thing you can do? And so that one's pretty good too to check out. And the G-Pose studio we have in Oceania as well is also very, very well done. For people who are into G-posing with no third-party tools.
Yeah, absolutely.
At all.
Yeah, there's such a variety of exhibits, and I love that you do everything from the kind of immersive to, just whatever creative ideas people have, to the real scientific kind of educational element, because I know that's always been something that you've been really passionate about, with actually, talking about real aquatic life and sharks and everything.
You made me remember something that we didn't announce yet for Fishfest. That was like the big thing that I was working on for a while.
And
the Ocean Conservation House.
Ooh.
So going back to Fishfest, sorry.
Please.
The one thing that you mentioned that, and I was like, I totally did something with that recently. What? Oh crap! So the Ocean Conservation House was something that me and another volunteer put together, or planned out, but I couldn't help put it together because Crystal got congested, and I couldn't make another alt.
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate state over here on Crystal DC.
It's been quieter though, which is kind of nice. But so the Ocean Conservation House, one of the things that I did mention earlier was there are a lot of Final Fantasy XIV fish that have real life analogs. Like 99.9% of fish in game have a real life equivalent, even the weird space ones in Ultima Thule. And so what I really wanted to do was make a bridge for that, to be like, hey, you're catching real fish. And the fish, that big fish that you might have just caught, might actually be like an endangered species. Um, and so this whole house, it's a small house that we got that was gifted to us just for the event. We could basically borrow, and we put a bunch of fish tanks in there, and it's decorated like a coral reef. And every fish in that aquarium, or in the aquarium tanks there, have a real life endangered, or whatever the step above that is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Threatened, something like that.
Threatened.
Yeah.
Either a threatened or endangered species analog.
Huh.
So we have like all of this stuff, and there will be volunteers there who will be happy to tell you all about it. And that's one of the things I know we chatted with somebody who has worked at an actual aquarium doing those actual things, and was like, hey, what are some like charities and events that if we direct people towards, what are the good ones?
Oh,
And so we'll have those on hand as well to do that. So I wanted to mention that because I knew I had forgotten something and it wasn't on
Yeah.
my list.
no, that's huge, and that's so cool to hear. I mean, so many times, even just with the recent Race to World First with Ultimate and everything, right? We have seen the community not just do things for fun, but also to do some good or for a good cause or to raise awareness or charity, charity work as well, which is awesome to see that component in here too, in case anybody wants to learn more about, yeah, our own real world and all the amazing wildlife and nature and aquatic life and everything that exists here that you can also literally discover and learn about, and that inspired so much of what we love in the game, as well as steps to help protect that so that we don't lose that diversity of life that has happened here in this rare, wild, bizarre planet where so many different life forms, were created and grew and changed. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
can't believe
amazing.
they made real fish off the ones in the game. That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So you catch a fish like, oh man, I didn't know this is like a real life fish.
This must be the vegetarian.
But yeah, like even all the fish like in my background, which I know is a little cut off in the stream, but like
Yeah, you can
this
see most of
is
them.
this guy over here. This is a snook. You can catch these off the coast of Florida. Peacock bass right here. This is a flare fish, which is a type of carp. Like these are all real fish that I can point out and be like, this is what they are. I mean, the one kind of behind me is coral manta, and if you do see a manta ray with a coral on its back, you're probably in a Disney movie. But mantas are a real thing.
Yeah.
Like those are a real thing, and they do sometimes get caught up in nets and stuff like that and are hurt. So it's one of those things that I really wanted to do. And Nyx was the volunteer who's been leading that and was the one who was able to get into coral where the house is before it got closed. So Nyx has been doing an amazing job detailing it and putting it together and
So cool.
compiling all these lists of like endangered fish.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to go visit and to learn about everything that's been put in there, as well as all the other venues, which is just awesome. Speaking of which, so you also have a venue outside of even like the regular aquarium tanks and displays and special exhibits, right? Called the Sandbar. And I was curious. I mean, obviously, you do events with it outside of Fishfest. So, like, what can people do there if, maybe they've seen the aquariums? And then I was also curious if there's anything special planned for Fishfest. I think you have something going on maybe this week even for the Sandbar. Did I see that right on Twitter this morning?
Did
Did
I?
I
For
see
Sandbar,
something?
did we get the right name?
Maybe
Sandbar,
not.
Sandbar is the name of the bar, like the little cafeteria underneath the aquarium.
Yes.
I don't actually know if we're gonna have that open. The person who
Okay.
usually runs that, this is the Sandbar. Will occasionally open on Saturday evenings for just RPing. If people want to come and RP at an aquarium, it's kind of like the aquarium is not an RP venue, but we do have a place to support it if you'd like. And so that's what that would be. And I actually the person who usually runs it is actually going to be helping out with the trials of the big one. So I don't
Gotcha.
know if that will be open, but if
Okay.
somebody wants to man it, I mean, we have everything needed to do it. We kind of just keep it all there. So if anyone wants to open it, they're more than welcome to. I hadn't thought of that.
No, I didn't mean to spring it on you. I just thought it was interesting because I know that in the past people have wanted to go to the aquarium to role play.
Mhm.
And I think I've seen some amusing tweets, some wholesome tweets, some less wholesome tweets about
Oh, yeah.
various
Yeah,
RP
that
exploits.
was a tweet that
And
the one tweet I know you're referencing for that last one was a tweet that I never expected that I had to make and was very disappointed that I had to.
don't do spicy stuff in the aquarium. There's
And it
all
was
sorts
just
of people there.
and it was one specific room
No.
too. Like always, we were really
Wow.
like bewildered by this whole thing. And it was
But it was just to say that there is technically an RP venue there
Mhm.
that you can do various appropriate RPs that would happen at a
Yes.
bar.
the
In if you would like a dedicated role playing space or to make it like a date time
Uh-huh.
if you wanted to
Had
go
a
visit
lot
the
of dates.
aquariums during Fishfest. So
aquarium dates. That would be a really good thing that we should remind everybody about. Maybe we'll do that
Mhm.
this week.
Hmm.
oh my gosh. Yes, it has been it's been an interesting journey with the aquariums, but the Sandbar venue is there. So even if there's not anything happening for Fish Fest, if
Mhm.
anybody is curious about having that, keep an eye out for those RP specific
You-
nights or
Yeah.
things like that too. So
I will say if nobody from staff is like actively manning the bar, you are more than welcome to just pretend that you are. You're more than welcome to. If you're RPing and you want to be like go behind the counter and say hello to the two workers and the Namazu behind there. You're more than welcome to. Like that's one of the things with all the venues that I make and or lead is they're public spaces for anyone to use. So they're always open. No, they're free. If anyone asks you for a entry fee, please let me know so I can yell at them. Because it's always free. We'll never ask you for money. And just use it however you wish, except not for spicy things, please.
Yeah.
Which I'm
Please.
I'm still like disappointed that I have to say that.
do whatever you
But-
want as consenting adults, just not in the aquarium.
Yeah. You can come to the aquarium before that, but please
Mhm.
leave the aquariums. It startles the fish.
I hadn't heard or seen this tweet, but that's just oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wow.
Literally,
Wow.
that was literally the tweet. It was like,
Yeah.
please don't ERP at the
Yeah,
aquarium.
So now
Please,
that
please.
room now has like the Louis Swap portrait with some like googly eyes hacked onto it, right? Just like looking.
Ruin
Watching.
the mood.
That's so the room that it always happened in was the Ruby Dragon room. And again, please don't do this.
Yeah.
But my joke was, and I will tone this back because I don't think
Yeah.
I'm not going to swear.
Uh.
But basically, it was the Ruby Dragon room, which is an elusively hard fish. And I
Mm.
was like, maybe they just wanted to get by the Ruby Dragon one more time.
Yeah.
Sorry, whoever's editing this.
No, it's
You can
it's staying. That's
censor
fine.
that out.
No, it's
Oh,
good.
that's fine.
It's
No,
fine.
It's
I
all-
love it. It's good. Sometimes we get a little spicy here, but not
It's
as
okay.
spicy as
Yeah.
everybody does in the Ruby Dragon room.
Yeah, exactly.
Aquarium.
Which you should not do.
And we just
Which you
can't
should
figure out-
not do.
No.
we can't figure out why it was that room because like it's like we've had a couple and others and then it was like that room was like 4 reports.
Wow.
I mean, I
There's just something about the atmosphere,
Yeah.
and the lighting.
It's a Kugane market theme, so it's
who
like,
doesn't like
what?
who doesn't love a good dragon? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly, right.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, only good dragons. The opposite we shouldn't talk about at all, right? No.
Not on this podcast.
I hadn't
Anyway.
thought about that. Oh no.
That's a personal. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so let's talk
Yeah,
about
you've
the
ruined me.
Aorsian Museum of the network, the Aorsian Museum Networks.
Talk about anything else.
Let's talk about the Aorsian Museum
Uh-huh.
Network. What is it? And tell us about it.
So the Aetheryte Museum Network was announced right before Fishfest and is technically a sponsor. But it's
Oh,
kind
nice.
of like the Obama putting a medal on Obama type thing because
Yeah.
it's my other big project. So the Aetheryte Museum Network, out of the huge and rousing support that we got from the community, a lot of people were like, man, I wish that there were more venues like this. And we were all kind of like, yeah, us too. And so we took the funding from the aquarium and we offered it to a bunch of stuff. Just basically is now, never had to publicly mention this. It's always been through typing. Um, basically, we have a set of guidelines, and that we kind of based on real life museums. So the International Council of Museums, or ICOM for short, which isn't any easier to say. They have guidelines for like what classifies as a museum, and much as like aquariums do as well. Which up until recently, technically the Eorzean Aquarium qualified because they never specified that it had to be on Earth. But the museums specifically say that it has to be about Earth and human history, or related. Darn. Anyways, so we made some. I worked with a couple of people who work in museums, and we came up with a set of guidelines for like, this is what a Final Fantasy XIV museum might follow with guidelines. And we said, all right, if you have a venue that you either currently own that's a museum that follows these guidelines, or you want to make one that follows these guidelines, let us know. And we'll go through and you submit like a little application type thing and basically say, hey, here's what I'm doing, or here's what I want to do. And we will see how we can support you, because we want to see more of these venues in game. This is one of the things that a lot of people mentioned was, I don't mind when the aquarium goes through and yells out in the city of like, hey, the Eorzean Aquarium is open, or hey, Fishfest is happening type thing. No one has ever said like that's an issue for them, but it's always like the casinos and the clubs and stuff that people are like, I'm tired of this. And so I kind of went on to like a little bit of like okay, let's take the aquarium's momentum and see if we can tip the scale just a little bit away from that. So more and more of these venues are there. And that's where the Eorzean Museum Network came up. And so it is a collective network of a bunch of different venues, the aquariums included. And it basically, if you match those guidelines and you come and say, hey, I want to make about like I almost said fish, but that's not right. One of the guys was like, I want to make like an
about fish, like aquariums. Then yeah, we'll support those 100%. Anything else, no.
One of our first applications was like, I really want to make this RP space that is a gallery, a fine art gallery based around this. Here are the exhibits that I want. They were going to base it around kind of how the aquarium does private rooms. And they came and they were like, I really wanted to do this. Here's my plan. They had it all laid out. And that's one of the things that we ask for, is like a laid out plan. So we're not just, we know we can kind of see and provide help because we kind of know how to manage these things now. And they gave us this idea and I was like, this is great. What do you want? And they're like, I would love to see if I can get a house on Balmung. I'm just like, okay. And so I went back and we have a network of people who can help put people. There are a lot of houses that are empty. There's a lot of FC houses that are empty. And we have, through the aquarium, we have this network now of people who have empty houses that want them to be used, but they don't want to give them up because of submarines. Like, that's basically it. And so they'll be like, yeah, we'll give you complete control over the house if I can use the subs. Usually no one cares. Like, that's fine because they usually have their own subs. It's like it's like usually no one cares. And so in this particular case, that wasn't what happened, but that's typically what we'll do is like, hey, we have a house that on this server, and if you want it, this is what you can do, and you can use it, and you can change the name, you can do whatever you want. And so we got them a house on Balmung that night.
Wow.
Like, we were able to get them a small house in Imperium through the network. We were able to get them an Imperium small house, and they opened like 2 weeks later. right before, right around when we were officially announcing the Aetheryte Museum Network. I think we had put it out the initiative to kind of our inner circle of people to put their feelers out, and this was one of the ones that came in. And so that ended up being Gallery Figaro in the Imperium.
Nice.
And so we're
Love
up
that name.
to
That's good.
yeah, it's a really nice name. I think we're up to 13 venues all within the network, and these are all
Gosh.
that follow that museum thing,
Yeah,
like
the
that
guidelines, yeah.
the guidelines for museums. So, and they're not just aquariums. I mean, 3 of them are now aquariums. But like Museum Eorzea, which was one of the original museum houses in the game. I think Stormblood. I forget exactly when, but they predate us. And they're part of it. Namafel, the people who did Pirates of the Caribbean or Lalafels of the Caribbean,
Yeah.
they actually had their own museum, and so they're part of the network too. We work with them. There's a Dragon Song War Museum now. I'm looking at the list.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a museum called Little Norvrant, and it's just someone took an apartment and turned it into a museum. Like you don't have to have a house for these museums. You can use your apartment if you want. And we've been pretty, as long as you match these guidelines, we're pretty open to whatever the museums are, because I think I saw someone make a tweet once, like, the best museums aren't always like the Met or like the Louvre or something like that. It's like Fred's Anvil Shop in the middle of like Arkansas, or like that mom and pop museum type of thing.
Yeah.
So we've really been finding that there's a lot of these out there, and by putting this out there and using the aquarium as kind of that spotlight for everybody, we've been able to bring in a lot of people, and we have at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other museums planned that either have started or are in the initial developments. I mean, ranging from textiles to flowers, to just fine art type of thing.
Yes. Speaking of the small museums, like, even like just in my background, I lived close to DC, and there's all those ginormous museums, but there's also a tiny one. It's the Espionage Museum. It's like a tiny little place. And if you go there, they give you a new identity, and they're like, this is you today. Like, those things are so awesome.
That's great. And there's like, I was down at the beginning of January. I was down in St. Augustine, Florida, for my sister's wedding, and they had the medieval torture museum down there. And you look at it, and you were looking at it like, this is so cool. And I'm like, yeah, let's go look at it. And I'm flipping through the pictures. I'm like, maybe before lunch.
That's great.
I love it. That's so good. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I honestly think that some of the best museums are the ones that I love. Big museums, and they have their own draw too, but some of the best ones, the ones that I think can really become a place that, is just really special to you, are those smaller ones that you usually have to kind of keep an eye out for, or like listen for, to hear word of mouth pass around, or even just looking up alternative or smaller. I know here in Chicago, we've got a couple great medical history museums, weirdly enough, but that are really cool and have a lot of really unique and interesting events and all kinds of stuff like that you just wouldn't expect normally. So it's definitely worth searching those out. But unless, was there something you wanted to say?
Just to say, like, like some of my favorites are those little ones. Like, I've been to the Met. I'm not that far outside of New York City, so like I have all of those museums in New York that I've been to, and some of my favorite ones are there, but they're also like this little one down in Philadelphia called the Mudders Museum, which is basically just a museum. Don't Google that on a queasy stomach, but basically it's a medical museum, but it's like it's filled with real life preserved specimens of things. It was very good when I went there when I was in high school. It was great.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's awesome.
And that's kind of the thing. It's just these small ones are great, and if these small ones can preserve a piece of like the game's history in a way, then all the better.
Absolutely. Now, taking us back to, the topic that's bringing us all together for this big event and that has really been something that you fell in love with, fishing specifically in the game. I wanted to ask as we start to head towards the end of the
Good job
podcast.
starting to reel it in.
I'm reeling it. Oh my gosh. That was a fish pun.
It's like we front loaded all those fish puns, and there's like
know.
there's a barren sandbar there in the middle.
Oh my gosh. All right, all right. I'm gonna take hold of this ship and I'm
Poor
gonna
Rook
steer
really needs
it
some kelp with her
into
fish puns
port.
today.
I did a few good ones at the start. I did a few good ones, and then they all just vanished. They just vanished out of my head. I don't have a fish pun for
Really,
that.
just hook
They were
into
just
us and
gone.
get us to the end there, Rook.
They sank.
Okay, I'm gonna do this hook, line, and sinker. All right. Why do you think people should get into fishing in the game? Minus all the fish puns that they can make. What do you think is something like reasons why you should get into fishing? You should give it a shot in 14.
Someone just asked me this yesterday, or
Mm.
like the day before. I don't know if that was you. It was on Reddit. But
Mm.
somebody asked me this the other day, and so I'm going to give you the exact same answer. It's the same answer I give all the time. Fishing slows you down, and not like in a bad way. Fishing in 14 is one of the very few fishing systems in a video game that I've played that has fishing that takes you to parts of the world that you typically don't see through the main path, like through the MSQ. Sometimes side quests will take you there, but you're only there for like a minute and then you leave and then you never go back. You completely forget that it's there, like Red Mantis Falls in Eastern Lenosha. Gorgeous place, but you're really only there once through the MSQ.
Mm-hmm.
It also fishing puts you there for a long period of time and in weather and other situations that aren't common, I guess is the word.
Mhm.
Like a lot of fish are in rare weathers. Like a lot of people don't know that there are rare weather types that aren't tied to fates in every zone. Like
Mhm.
thundering in the locks is gorgeous when you have to go and one of the fish sculptor, which you need to catch Stethacanthus, which is right there in the big pool, the lock celled, is caught around a thunderstorm in the evening and in the locks, and that whole town that I can't remember. That's not Garabania. Is it Garabania? No, the little Alamigo. What the city is that's back there behind
The
Loxeld.
locks.
Yeah.
That's
What
Alamigo.
is it? Is that Alamigo? Okay. I
It's
was
just
thinking.
one
Okay.
of the
I
districts.
was thinking. In my mind, I was thinking like, no, that's not Castrum something. Praetorium came to mind first, and I was like, no. But you have to like sit there for like 10-15 minutes in the thunderstorm in the locks overlooking Alamigo at night or at dusk, and it is gorgeous because the way that they've did it is like it's a nice purple sky with a really nice red haze on everything, contrasted by the white. It is fantastic. That's one of the things that when people are like, why should you fish? And it's like, yeah, you can get fun titles, you can get fun minions, you can get really cool looking fishing rods. One of the only Disciples of the Land that has minions tied to it.
Mhm.
That not only you can achieve but catch yourself. But it's like beyond all that, it slows you down and it puts you into the world. And it makes you go, huh, there's more here than I was originally expecting.
Yeah.
And that was one of the I think that's what ended up really hooking me into fishing. Was the fact that I can really enjoy the world now. And finding all these all these fishing holes in really weird spots that you'd look and be like, there's no way that you can fish there. And then you walk up and the thing lights up and you're like, oh, I can cast. It's one of those. It's like that's the only game that I have played that has ever done that.
Mm. I mean, it is incredible. I don't think I even realized the full depths. Sure, that's a fish pun. I'll emphasize it like it is. It's a water pun. The full depths, kind of the system and of what it brings to the table until like the more recent history. And I mean, oh my gosh, it's been so fun because not just the environments, not just the fishing holes, which even as I started to do it, I totally agree with you. It really does draw your attention to different areas in different ways. But as we've been doing, I just started doing on my own streams, experimenting with something I've wanted to do for a long time, which is lore and lore tours of zones where we go like really in depth and we research together and then put it together and then eventually it'll make its way into like a really polished cinematic YouTube video, right? But to actually go through the whole process, and it's been so fun. Fruity was like, "You want fish lore in there too?" And I was like, "Yes."
Hey, I was sitting in a stream and you're like, man, this looks like a production thing. I'm like, well, if you go to the fish,
This is so true though.
and
Literally.
it was.
We started in Aussie Slaw, and I was like, Fruity, do you want to do a co-op stream sometime? And Fruity was like, yeah, sounds great. And then I was like, oh, I'll just ask when we actually have a little bit more under our belt so that I don't waste Fruity's time. And lo and behold, Fruity shows up on the day that I'm researching and it's just like, but the fish in this area. And we're like putting together all of the other lore
Alpha
about the
Quadrant, I
history,
think.
Yeah.
alpha quadrant
Alpha
of Aussie
Quadrant
Slaw.
was
Like
a
what
shipping area.
Yes, it was like shipping, production, agricultural research initially, which then, as the facility and the Alligans took a turn to warfare, ended up being repurposed into almost more like military resources, stuff like that.
Like
The fish, the armored fish.
So the Allegan helmet, I think
Mhm.
was the name of the fish, was
Mm.
bred there as
Mhm.
a form of armor.
Yeah,
Like
and
they
they
were
would
going to use
harvest
it for
it.
armor. Like they were going to harvest parts of it for armor.
Which was so cool. And we went into this part of the area, like a part of the zone that I'd never been in before, which was what is it? It's like the quarantine block, but you can actually go in there.
Mm.
And if you
Mhm.
go in there and as you like grab from the sightseeing log and other stuff, and then there's a fate that pops up, it's now used to put like dangerous creations in that couldn't be destroyed or they didn't want to destroy for whatever other reason. But originally it was an agricultural production facility to research things like genetically modified food kind of stuff, or things like what would eventually lead to, I would assume, the creation of these fish.
Mhm.
I never would have known that if we hadn't gone in to do that. And then when you pair the fish lore with it, it rounds it out in a way that, like, who would have ever thought? Like, well, you would never think that the fish in a region would do that.
Think of all the ones that you were going to look at. As's Law is the one that I'm most familiar with. Like if you went into the fringes, I would have been. That is on my fringes, I guess. Type of thing, but it is insanely crazy. Like you were saying stuff and you'd be like, huh, I think it's this, and then I'll like go check the fish and be like, yeah, you're right.
It's such a parallel to real life in which, these kind of paleontology and things like that teach us about the state of the world when we weren't there, right? It's exactly the same. And it's so great that the localization team and whoever out there, like I'd love to know this when they were working on fishing. Who was it who was like, you know what? Shouldn't we have lore for every fish? Shouldn't we do that? Who did that? Because it's such a nice, like, it's a discovery every single time. And it's so awesome to see that in a world. It makes it feel more living,
So I actually have a quote for you on that.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Kate, one of the localization leads, opened up their Twitter to questions one day.
Yeah.
And one of the volunteers asked, what's the process behind the fishing log?
Mm.
And we got a response.
Yeah.
And it was, and I quote, the JP fish lore is pretty well off the crap these days. And you can swap in crap. These days, possibly because we already used up most of the world's normal fish and are left with a parade of pelagic horrors. This makes it easy to write entries in the style of scholars, which is a common theme that we see. And this makes it easy to write entries in the style of scholars increasingly failing to maintain objectivity. So I think really the fish guide is a product of the cross-cultural shared experience of looking at a weird fish and being like, the fuck?
I love it.
That is
so
a
good.
quote. That is a quote from Twitter on
I love it.
Kate, and that was like the most info we've had about how these fish lore is written, and it makes sense now when you're like, okay. And then when they got to Ultima Thule, which is where all those pelagic horrors are, if you look at it, some of them aren't like. One of them is like I mentioned it earlier. It's like EBE 8163.
Oh yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, there's no way that that's a fish. And no, it's a deep sea jellyfish. And its name is like an X-Files reference. There's another one that's based, there's a fish called a Jenny, or the name of the fish is Space Bishop. Take that as you wish. But it's not actually based on a fish. It's based on a ritualistic depiction of a fish based on a fish called a Jenny Hanover, I think it's called.
Huh. That is so cool.
I think that's what they're called. Yeah, Jenny Hanover. And are the carcass of a ray or a skate that has been modified by hand, then dried, resulting in a mummified specimen intended to resemble a fanciful creature such as a demon or a dragon.
Okay.
All right.
Go look them up on
That's
Wikipedia. They are terrifying.
Oh gosh! Oh no!
We need to have a disclaimer at the beginning of this. If you're going to Google any of the terms you hear today,
please be careful.
Please do so before lunch.
Let's be honest. Deep sea life is absolutely horrific.
Oh yeah.
And that's where all the Ultima Thule fish are. Like that's where all the Ultima Thule fish are in. They're all the crazy deep sea fish. Like the cockatoo squid is terrifying way and forbidding way. That's its real life equivalent. Oh gosh, so many. That's we still got to do that fish lore stream at some point.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna like actually do an official one because I want to just sit on cams and nerd with you or whatever works on voice and
or
just
be
nerd.
Like, hey, so we don't know much about this in this region. Like, oh, we've known about that since 2.0 because of this fish.
Yeah.
Because of this weird fish. No, I'm so ready, and we're gonna do it. So now that we've kind of no, I don't have another. I tried to come up with a fishing pun. Now that we're diving into the deep end. That work of lore on stream now that we're trying to reel in all that good lore
I used that
officially.
one, but okay.
Dang it. Now that we're dangling the bait of fish dangling the bait of lore in front of everyone.
Let me pull up my sheet of 80 fish puns that I just had written.
No, Chad has it right. Rook, you need to stop floundering.
Oh my gosh. Dredging up more topics. That's a good one, Joe. Joe's had a lot of good ones in the chat today.
Yeah.
Yes, we will make it happen and we will have those official streams because I think it's awesome and I love to hear about it. So I think that does say a lot about not only why personally you enjoy fishing and why people should get into it from like your perspective, but also I think a lot of the unique things about fishing in 14 compared to other games. But I did want to ask you because I know you also play Guild Wars like you were talking about. You play Guild Wars 2. They just introduced a fishing system, right? Fishing has been in a lot of different games, and I was curious if you think that 14's fishing system is your favorite. If like there's something, it is just hands down. That's it.
Didn't even have to think about it.
Okay.
And I say that as games I've played. There is one game that I haven't played, and I think it's called like Universe Fishing or something like that. It's like a top-down 2D 8-bit looking game from a few years ago that I have to go. I still have it's on my backlog. Like everyone has that backlog.
Ah, the backlog.
That one has a similar system, if not deeper system. And I'm also ignoring like Fishing Simulator 2022
right, of course,
or something like that. We're just ignoring those because those are a completely separate thing. But it is I really, not to cut you off, it is one of my favorite fishing systems. I think Guild Wars 2 is pretty fun as well for similar reasons of it just takes you to places. And yeah.
No,
that's
fair.
I think
there you go.
I mean that's it. That's it. I think I might have already answered a lot of that.
Nope. Yep. I mean, hey, it's good. It's good to hear. It's good to know. I mean, is there anything, I think we asked something not too dissimilar the last time you were on
Yeah.
as well, but since then, I mean, is there anything more that you've thought about that you want added to the system or that other games think could influence? Or do you feel like, hey, 14 is setting that standard and other games should be looking at
Just catch
14
up, yeah.
specifically? Yeah.
I think a lot of games could look towards 14, but I can understand why they don't, because 14's is really in depth. A lot of games, like I think a system like Guild Wars 2, like they did really well. They have time based. There's 3 time zones that you can catch fish in, and I think that works really well for that game. I think like if they added weather, one, they would have had to overhaul their whole system because they don't
Right.
have weather in Guild
Yeah.
Wars 2. But even if they did, I think that wouldn't fit that game. I don't think it would fit Guild Wars 2 that well. But for stuff that I wish that they could add into 14, I think I go back to big spearfish. We have the overworld terrestrial big fish. I would love to see what they could do with the new spearfishing and big fish on that, because we just got our second spearfisher's intuition fish in 6.3, and so I think that and two very specific furnishing items, more general furnishing items, more varieties of tanks, not just in biomes. Like Aether Chemical would be fun. That would open up a ton of really weird fish.
Oh yeah.
But Aether Chemical, I think, would be really not too hard to do, and it would make sense compared to like sand or hell fishing in lava.
Yeah.
In different types, like right now we have metal and wood, and they have like a backing, and so that you can only view them from one side. And a lot of these fish look really good from all different sides. And so it'd be cool if we had like a fully clear tank all the way around of all different sizes. Would be great.
If you're not going to give us Blitzball, give us a Blitzball tank.
Yeah, there we
Like
go.
just a sphere, that'd be cool.
Yeah, like a sphere. I would love different shapes and things. I love that you brought that up. Or even, different mediums that the fish could be in. I mean, that might be tough. I see everybody saying in chat like lava and stuff, right?
Like,
but
you have to keep it to liquids, but
I don't know. You can
It's
do
just a
something.
cave. Yeah,
I mean,
it's just a cave.
fish are basically birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
And
make
then
a bird cage.
You could have like a checklist or something that would allow you to put certain types in that, or I don't know. I think you wouldn't even have to go that far. I think you could just stick fish in whatever. And I mean, the amount of people, of course, lore-wise, it would not work, or biologic, like it wouldn't work in that kind of way. It would be dissonant. But I mean, I think people would just like to have the options of having different varieties.
And we already, in the Studium Quest, they already added a size fish tank bigger than tier 4, which is the largest. We're calling it a tier 5 or a tier 6 size, just based on scaling. It's a pretty big fish, but by doing that, they could introduce the really big fresh and saltwater fish, and give them that room. The other type of furnishing that isn't related to fishing, but surprisingly has made things harder for fish-related builds, is rocks. Please, Square Enix, give me indoor rocks. I need rocks. So many rocks.
Yes, please. And give us a good overhaul of the actual way that the housing system functions, so you don't have to like glitch stuff. You can just lift rock, put rock in tank, leave rock.
Yeah, it's just like, I want rocks, and I want new fish tanks. And then the cycle will be complete, and it will be unstoppable. Like, they had the housing design contest, and a few of us were joking, like, do we just want to like submit a paper and it just has a bunch of different rocks on it?
These are our demands.
These are please Yoshi P.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot, but those are like the highlights.
No, it was a great answer, and I absolutely agree. It'd be great to see those things. And can you imagine how, if they ever introduced a size of fish tank that was like the size of an entire wall, and then they put in a giant dragon, how many people would ERP in your aquarium?
Oh, yeah.
Like a really giant red dragon.
Yeah.
Like this big, beautiful fish dragon.
we're gonna that's the one that's gonna have like the painting of like Louis Soir
Yeah.
and Nomino in there. Just like and no, Emmerich wouldn't be in there. Or Chiffon. Yeah, we'll do all those.
Yeah,
And
we want
those
to
will be-
discourage the not
discourage
encourage.
that.
Well, look,
This room
maybe
is under
somebody's
constant
gonna make
surveillance.
something. Maybe somebody's gonna make something like the Kinsey Museum, which is all about human sexuality.
It's true.
Have
That's true.
one big room.
Does it follow our guidelines?
If so.
Rook's about ready to like draft up a museum proposal.
I mean, look, it would be fun, and I could totally get into that.
Nothing
before
but the
that-
biggest of dragons in my museum.
Does
Look, don't get me
it
wrong.
follow-
I was already thinking in my head, like, could I make a dragon museum?
Yeah.
I could maybe work with, I know at least one other creator / creator adjacent that loves the dragons in 14, but then I was like, there's just not enough good giant fake dragon statue. Like, we got some dragon statues, but I don't have any like big dragons that I could like put in there. What could I? I was thinking about it.
That's why
Look,
like we have the Dragon Song War Museum.
Mhm.
I do also, my own personal nerdy note is that I do actually have a character that is a draconologist. Studies dragons. And one
Well,
of my
if you
favorite
ever want to do a
fantasy
stream
books-
on that,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
someday. But
Do.
I have to do Ozzy's Law first because everybody voted on it. So
Uh-huh.
that's my first zone. But anyway, all of this aside, my own personal goofery and the totally not a human sexuality and or sexuality museum I'm gonna make in this game aside. Let's bring it back to Fishfest.
Reel it in, Rook.
Okay. Well, yes, I'm bringing it. I'm reeling it back in. I cast out the line, and now we're reeling it back and we're bringing it home. So, where, when, and how can people get involved with Fishfest? As a little recap, in case anybody missed it or has forgotten, what are the dates? Where should they go? What's the information on this for them being able to be a part of it?
Fishfest is February 18th and 19th on the Crystal Data Center. We'll be across multiple different servers, but predominantly on Marlborough. We'll be running from 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, with a little after party both days. And so if you want to come out and participate, we're recommending people meet up at the aquarium on Crystal, which is Marlborough, Lavender Beds, Ward 6. Shit. Ward 16, plot 59. Yes, I got that right. Okay. Yeah, okay. So meet at the Aetheryte Aquarium in Lavender Beds on Marlborough, Ward 16, plot 59. I was like, there are no plot 69s. That's not right.
Yeah.
If there were, they would be the nicest plots.
If they were, they would be the location of the new human / seeing races and
I didn't mean to
non-human
do that.
sexuality museum.
I didn't mean to bring that in.
What was that?
Anyways,
Uh-huh.
meet up.
I'll do
We'll be asking folks to get started, and that's where we'll be starting the fish trains. That's where all the ocean fishing parties will be forming, and we'll have volunteers there to help direct you towards wherever else you can go. So, hope to see you all there, and it should be a fantastic time.
God. It does sound like it will be, and we're very excited. You also mentioned that I know Joe Cat is streaming. Was it just specifically the dancing events? Will there be any other live streaming footage or places for people to tune in for the events?
A couple of streamers have reached out. I don't know if we'll be announcing them all. We'll be retweeting if they do. But we don't have any official ones besides Joe Cat doing the Esprit dance show.
Yeah.
And then sorry, no, I lied. We are actually streaming.
No one else is streaming.
This is
Oh,
like,
right,
this
we
is-
are.
This is right. That's the other thing. You know, the one thing I learned with this is that there's always something else.
Yeah.
I'll like I was going into this going like, yeah, I got everything covered. I'm all ready. And then it's like, no, I'm not. I mean, I am, but no, I'm not. The Eorzean Museum Network YouTube channel will be streaming it. Either most or some or all of it. That's going to actually there's a couple of technical things that I have to kind of figure out still
Mhm.
that may that kind of are unavoidable that we have to work around. So it might be some of those, might not be, but if you follow either me or the ARZ Museum Network on Twitter, we will be announcing that well before those streams go live, along with
Mhm.
a link, and it'll be on YouTube.
Okay.
But if you want to show up and stream, you'll be more than welcome to. If you are going to be streaming the event, at me, at Fisher Fruity on Twitter, and I will happily signal boost it.
There you go. Fishfest, everybody. It's happening. The entire weekend of fish.
Kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I think this is going to be great. I love when groups do in-game events. And it's just there's so much in
Yeah.
this.
It's a
like
lot.
it's going to be great.
I hope I'm not sounding super negative about it, because I'm just
Oh, no.
really nervous about it.
Oh, it's
very
gonna be
honest. I'm
fine.
extremely nervous.
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense. You've
Yeah.
been working on this for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm sure Frosty was the same way before the show started, during the show, after the show, constantly. It's just the
one
way
of
that it goes.
those- I've been measuring, like, my hair was here when we first started. And my hairline has just gone back 2 inches. Fishfest, February 18th and 19th, starting at noon Eastern time at the Aetheryte Aquarium on Marlboro.
Lavender Bed 6059.
Please make alts on not Crystal, and then just transfer over.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go check it out. I know I'm going to be hanging out and checking it out at some point
Mhm.
next weekend as well. So it's I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. Is that it? Did we do it?
Did we do it in
I
under?
think we
Is
did
this longer or shorter than the last time I was on to talk about?
I think it's almost the same. I think it was about
the
this
same?
much. Yeah, I
About
think
2
so.
hours, a little over.
Same-ish.
Yeah, we always sneak towards 3 no matter what. That's just
Yeah.
we regress towards the mean of 3 hours. I don't know why, but yeah, I do know
Yeah.
why.
It's only because we haven't yet actually done a fish lore specific
Yeah, that's gonna be
podcast, because if we did, we'd be here for like 8 hours
Mhm.
or more. So
As soon
that's
as
why we
Fishfest is
just
done,
schedule
I
the
have a thing
weekend.
for that.
Oh yeah.
I have been sitting on a lore series that I've been wanting
Oh.
to produce for a while. So please look forward to it.
Yes.
All right. That's gonna do it then. We'll start the process here of ending the show.
Mhm.
If you want, you can find me on the internet. That's not how that's supposed to look.
Yeah.
Things were so Zen hosted last week, and we had to change some stuff, and
Mhm.
yeah,
I just got an Adderall.
technology.
So you got time. You're good.
If you want to find me, you can find me on your local Burger King or
Yeah.
fast food joint as advertised here. Twitter and Twitch, Raffledurg, YouTube, Raffledurg X. Aldino, very important question.
Mhm.
Where can people find you on this wide expanse known as the
Hmm.
internet?
Here and only here. Also on Twitter, but I don't post all that much. I just signal boost everyone. But yeah, here. And since Zen is not here, it is my obligation to say also on a Twitch channel where we do a bunch of D&D stuff. That is, you don't have to do it with me. That's okay. I know some of you will. It is plus the word
The word.
underscore one,
I-
the number.
The number.
I was trying to do it at the same time, and
The underscores
didn't work.
throw me off.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
underscore. I always put the underscores in there. Underscore shot the word. That's on Twitch. We do a lot of D&D. I think Sunday we're doing continuing our Teens with Attitude game, which is basically Power Rangers set in the 90s. It's a whole lot of fun. So those are the places you can find.
All right, and Rook.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch at Rookery, Rookuri. You can also find me on YouTube at the same, and you can find me on Twitter at Rookery_. I've been having some very strange computer problems that I am in the midst of trying to troubleshoot, which has caused no amount of frustration. So please keep an eye out. Please be patient. Please look forward to it, the day that I don't have to worry about these anymore. But it has caused a bit of an interruption, especially this last week with regular streaming. But I've not vanished forever. I am just trying to make my computer do a thing right. So
Yeah. Again, if anybody has their deity set as Bill Gates in the critically acclaimed MMO Final Fantasy XIV, go ahead, do your sacrifices, do your slash praise at wherever the Bill Gates rock is in Eorzea.
yeah, please and thank you.
Fruity,
Hi.
hi, what's up?
Just hanging out, talking about fish.
Just chilling. Where can people find you on the internet?
I am on the Twitters and the YouTubes. You can find me on Twitter at FisherFruity, and you can find me on YouTube at Fruity Snacks, I believe is their new tag system. But if you just Google Fruity Snacks Fishing, if I'm not the top hit, something is wrong.
And of course, if you want to contact us just here at the show, just like in general, I want to contact Aetheryte Radio, you can do that. You can email us, aetheryteradio@gamerscape.com. You can tweet at us at Aetheryte Radio. And of course, you can find us as Gamerscape on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Discord, where we got our Aetheryte Radio chat and our Final Fantasy XIV chats, where you can talk to us about Aetheryte Radio and Final Fantasy XIV, as the names would imply.
Huh.
I know,
Pretty
it's
fun.
Right? It's crazy. But that's going to do it for us this week. Everybody, thank you for hanging out. Next week, we will be talking with Angelus. They recently did their Palace of the Dead run at AGDQ.
That was so much fun.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to them about that. And then after that, we're going to go and hang out at
do Fishfest.
Fishfest next weekend. So
Yeah.
make sure to go check out Fishfest, and maybe we'll see you there.